Okay, good evening. Welcome to this meeting of Development Management Committee. I'll just go through the preliminaries and then we'll get onto the agenda proper. Members of the public are entitled to take photographs, film, audio record and report on all public meetings in accordance with the Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014. People may not, however, act in any way considered to be disruptive and may be asked to leave. Emergency exit. Is turn left, follow the green emergency exit signs to the main town hall entrance and proceed to the assembly point at St George's Square. Okay. Are there any apologies tonight?
Thank you, Chair. No, none has been received.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting. I'll sign those at some point during the business. Section 106, Government Finance Act. Any declarations? Presume no. Any disclosure of interest tonight? Either say it now or call it when the item comes through. And 5, any urgent?
Sorry. I've received various letters on one of the items, some in favour and some objecting. Do I need to declare that? I've not commented or replied to that.
I'm not sure. I don't think is a ward council. That's not your ward.
No, as vice chair, I'm sure you received some too.
I don't recollect those.
Yeah.
I just speak to the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question's been asked by the vice chair. She's received. Tell me if I've got this right. See some letters in favour and against. Which item? Which item number?
That's
Okay. And has asked whether she needs to declare any kind of interest. My advice on that is no. If they are simply letters that you've received, but you've not made any comments that could be regarded as predetermining your position on those applications, and there's no other association with the authors of those letters or anything, then no, that's just as you received and nothing to record. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the order I'll take is reverse, so I'll do 9, 8 and 7. So the first item on the agenda is 280 282 Dunstable Road. Clive. You don't look like Clive.
Thank you, Chair. There is an update that was circulated on this application with regard to an objection letter that we received 2 copies of. One was available online and the other one was received via email, which received also some pictures. This wasn't put online at the same time. So just for completeness, they've been included within the update report, as well as another attachment, which was a letter. In addition to this, we've received 2 further late objections. One was from an address that's already objected to the scheme and has been included. I've read through each of the letters and all of the points that have been raised have already been covered within the report that was written. No new planning considerations have been included. Next slide. Okay. The site is located at 280 to 282 Dunstable Road. The application seeks to change the use of the existing hostel into a solicitor's office with associated external alterations. The site has some relevant planning history, with the application for the same development was refused due to lack of supporting information earlier at the end of last year. The applicant has since sought pre-app advice before submitting this current proposal. Thank you. The existing property is a large detached building located on Dunstable Road. The previous use of the building was a hostel for 16 homeless people. The site has been vacant for over 12 months. In order to overcome the previous reason for refusal regarding the loss of the existing use, the applicant has contacted the previous company Signpost with a view of reletting the site as a hostel. However, evidence has been provided that they were unable to return to the site due to their licenses expiring on the property, and the investment needed was considered to be too high. Further inquiries were made to homeless organisations, including Mary Sequel, Squared and Luton Borough Council's housing department, who were all of the view that the building would require too much work to be cost effective to run for housing for the homeless, as the building was not up to the standard of a modern hostel. Therefore, given the evidence provided, the applicant has explored the possibility of reinstating the existing use and exercised due diligence by approaching other organisations regarding the existing use class of the property. Overall, given that the site is currently vacant and has not operated as a homeless hostel for over 12 months and appears unlikely to be reinstated for that use, the loss of the existing use is considered to be acceptable in this case. This stretch of Dunstable Road is vibrant with a good mix of uses despite falling outside the Bury Park district centre. There are also pockets of this part of Dunstable Road which are highlighted as shopping parade frontages. The surrounding area includes a nursery, solicitors, jewellers, barbers and retail shops. Therefore, the use of the premises as a solicitor's office would be in keeping with the general mix of the character of the area. From the information provided, the applicant, Greystone Solicitors, were established in 2018 and currently occupy 275, which is located on the opposite side of the road to the applicant site. The applicant is keen to stay within the same area and create jobs and opportunities for young professionals, which will support economic growth within the local area and Luton. They've also provided a justification statement to support this. Therefore, the proposal will allow the applicant to continue their business within the same area and also re-establish a currently vacant premises back into economic use. Overall, the use of the premises as an office would be in keeping with the mixed character of the area. With regard to the out-of-centre location, in line with Planning Policy LLP 21 and the guidance from the NPPF, main town centre uses should be located within town centres, then edge of centre locations. When considering edge of centre or out of centre proposals, preference should be given to accessible sites which are well connected to the town centre. In this case, the site is considered to be highly accessible and well connected to the town centre. The applicant has also provided a transport assessment to support this. The applicant has also provided a sequential test as set out in sections 33 to 59 of the report. Test identifies sites within the town centre and district centres and analyses their scale, location and flexibility as an alternative. Overall, the properties were not considered viable for a number of reasons as set out in the report. Taking account of the above, it is concluded that the unit reviewed were not suitable or available to accommodate the proposed development and can therefore be dismissed as sequentially preferable sites. It is concluded that the application passes the sequential test. Next slide, please. In terms of the impact on the street scene, the only external alterations proposed relate to the change of the existing doorway and the removal of a step to facilitate a ramp for level access. Given that the external alterations are considered to be minor and necessary to facilitate accessibility, no material harm is anticipated. There have been 5 letters of objection as well as 4 letters of support regarding this proposal. The objections focus on loss of the existing use, the need for solicitors in the area and the harm to the local community, whereas the support focuses on the services that the solicitors provide and the positive impact that they have on the community. All of these considerations have been included within the report. Concerns regarding parking have been addressed within section 74 to 81 of the report. There is a number of on-street parking restrictions already in place within the area, with single yellow lines outside the site and one-way traffic designation adjoining the side streets. The application is located within a sustainable location with good transport links, and the applicant has included a green travel plan for promoting sustainable staff travel methods. A transport assessment has also been provided and no objection has been received from the Highways Authority. In conclusion, the principle of the loss of the existing use has been accepted as the site is currently vacant and has not served as a hostel for over 12 months. Justification has also been provided that it's unlikely to be reinstated. The principle of the office is considered to be acceptable as the report demonstrates the proposal passes a sequential test and the proposal will be in keeping with the area. Overall, the proposal would bring a currently vacant building back into economic use. It will also allow an established solicitors firm within the vicinity to expand and contribute to the economic growth of the area. Overall, the applicant has provided sufficient information to overcome the previous reasons for refusal, and on that basis, approval is recommended.
Yeah, thank you for that. Benjamin Norton, the objector, is remotely. Are you, can you hear me?
I can indeed, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jake, very loudly. So you've got
Sorry.
you've got up to 5 minutes to speak, and the time will start when you speak. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, members, my name is Ben Norton. I'm a chartered town planner, and I'm speaking for my client, Ms. Ashrat Khan, who operates from 278 Dunstable Road, immediately next door to the application site. We've set out in our objections a number of issues, but for me, there are three main issues which members should consider this evening. Firstly, the unjustified loss of residential use. Your officers correctly identify that this was a 16-bed hostel and provided residential accommodation. Luton has one of the highest homelessness rates in the country, with 1 in 66 residents homeless or in temporary accommodation. Policy LLP 15 of your local plan requires that housing is only lost if it is replaced or if there is an overriding community benefit. Paragraph 98 of the NPPF requires councils to guard against the unnecessary loss of valued facilities. Members, you've been told that there is evidence the hostel could not be reinstated. In fact, what is before you is only an assertion that the refurbishment would be too costly. There is, in the public domain, no marketing, no independent viability report, and no assessment of alternatives, such as returning the property to two houses, which is what it was built as. That's not the standard of evidence normally expected under policy LLP 15 or LLP 24, and it cannot justify the permanent loss of 16 bed spaces in a borough with one of the worst homelessness rates in the country. The report does also not appear to treat the hostel as part of the housing stock because it's sui generis, but in substance it provided those 16 bed spaces. LLP 15 protects all forms of housing, not just C3 dwelling houses, and I failed to see how this has been justifiably lost. Second, highways and parking. The applicant says there are 4 parking spaces to the front. My client has measured these and they are 4.2 to 4.4 metres deep. The council's minimum standard is 4.8 metres. In practice, cars will overhang the pavement, forcing pedestrians, including children from the nursery opposite, into the road. And this isn't a hypothetical problem. The nursery has suffered repeated collisions into its wall, with police and ambulance call-outs. Crash data confirms a history of injury accidents on this stretch of Dunstable Road. Beds Fire and Rescue have identified Chatsworth Road opposite as one of the roads where poor parking has blocked emergency access. LLP 32 requires 10 spaces for a building of this size, yet the application offers just 4, all substandard, for a firm that already has 22 staff and will almost certainly grow in number in a larger building. Third, we've also heard about the sequential test. Applicant relies on sequential test to justify this site, but it's based on their business preferences, not on planning policy. It dismisses central offices in Luton because they would require sharing or some form of adaptation. Yet other solicitors firms in Luton have successfully relocated in exactly that way. And crucially, this firm does not provide any services that are not already available from solicitors on this very stretch of Dunstable Road and from many other practices across Luton. LLP 15 and paragraph 119 of the NPPF expect effective use of land to meet housing and community needs, not tailoring the evidence to a single operator's convenience. Finally, on process, my client's photographs were not included in the original report, only appear late in the late update. By contrast, letters of support submitted after the consultation closed have been taken into account. I would urge members to read the objections in full as they contain further material points not addressed in the report. Members, this proposal results in the permanent loss of residential accommodation and provides unsafe, non-compliant parking on a road with a known accident record. Both conflicts are clear and serious. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to refuse permission. Thank you.
Very much. And if you hang on, there may be some questions from members. Any questions to the objector? Yeah, Councillor Steer.
Yeah, could you just confirm who your client is, who you're acting on behalf of, please?
I can indeed, sir. My client is Ms. Ashrat Khan, who operates from the building next door.
Any further questions to the objector? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Dahlia?
Thank you, Chair. Could you also clarify the policy noting, specifically the local plan policy noting to the homelessness issue that we have in Luton, just the actual number of it, because I was making notes but didn't quite get to it.
So the policy, I've got it on. So do you mean the policy in terms of the loss of residential accommodation?
That's right, yeah.
That's LLP 15.
Any further questions to the objector? Thank you very much. We'll now go on to the applicant's representatives, Bilal Farouk and Anne James. So if you come forward, both come forward, and you share the time, so you've got up to 5 minutes to be shared between the two of you. So it starts when you're ready, okay?
Good evening, Chair, members and the committee. My name is Bilal Farouk. I'm the director of Greystones Leicesters, which I founded at the age of 30 years old at 275 Dunstable Road, across the road to our new premises at 280 to 282 Dunstable Road. I founded the firm with a simple mission, which was to improve access to justice for the community. We started with just myself, and the firm has rapidly grown over time. With the majority of the staff members from Luton. As a firm, we work with local charity and partner with the University of Bedfordshire to employ and train local graduates. We also host employability and career days for schools and colleges, again, supporting professional development. We run free legal clinics every Friday at our offices, and the need for this has grown over time, which directly helps the members of the community. Our clients are overwhelmingly locals within the vicinity. Most can walk to offices, along with providing them multidisciplinary services. Accessibility and community focus are central to what we do. For the past 5 years, we've been based at 275 due to the growth. We've outgrown the premises. We need to move to 282 Dunstable Road to accommodate the team and serve the community. The move is simply across the road. The part of Dunstable Road already hosts a mixed set of businesses. The objection from neighbouring solicitors' practice is based purely on competition. The objection is therefore not a planning matter. In contrast, our move across the road provides local jobs, economic activity, and essential legal services to the community. In short, it's a simple, straightforward move across the road with no changes by a firm deeply rooted to Luton, providing free legal advice, local employment, and essential legal services to the local community.
Good evening. Members will have read a very comprehensive report, and I therefore shall just reiterate the material planning considerations. This is a change of use planning application with minimal external alterations to provide a level access into the building for all users of the premises. There would be no impact on the visual amenities of the street scene or character of the area. The activities associated with the former hostel use were carried out on a 24/7 basis. As the business use would be confined to business hours, the impact on residential amenities would improve as a consequence. There have been no objections from the Highways Authority, both in terms of parking or highway safety. There would be 4 parking spaces on site for customers to use, and as mentioned in Mr. Farouk's statement, the company has grown up in Dunstable Road and serves the existing communities who live and work in this area. Most of their clients would be walking to the site. Greystones also operate a green travel plan with those members of staff who do not live locally using the car share facilities. Those who do live locally either walk, cycle or catch the bus. It is proposed to provide 6 secure cycle storage spaces to the rear of the site, and there is available land to provide more. The location of the site is therefore served by various sustainable means of transport. As part of the sequential test, a number of offices within the town centre have been considered, as were sites within the 6 district centres. Those units available were ruled out for a number of reasons, namely short-term flexibility, open plan layouts, floor space either too large or too small, or most importantly, they were leasehold and offered no long-term security. The site at 282 Dunstable Road is the right size and in the right location. It provides flexibility and format for his business to grow. Clearly, the building had been offered to affordable housing providers in order to offer similar accommodation to the existing sui generis use. However, the cost of implementing the business works would preempt them in taking up a lease on the site. The council's housing department has confirmed this when commenting on the scheme and have raised no concerns as to the site does not meet the standard for a modern hostel. To conclude, Mr. Farouk has practiced from 275 Dunstable Road for approximately 6 years and has built a successful business providing legal assistance to the local community, and he wishes to continue to work for the community in Biscot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions by members to the applicant? Yes, Zanim.
I want to, Chair, do one correction first. It's not in Biscot. The actual property application is in Leachill. It says Biscot here. That's one thing. Second of all, the question I wanted to ask, the parking facilities, how many partners will there be in the property?
Actually, Bilal, could you answer that one?
So there's 2 directors of the business.
Just 2 people.
So
So in the whole property,
there's 2 directors of the business. Your question was.
so how many members of staff will be working inside the property?
At one given time, there's no set number because some are not office, some would be hybrid, some would be coming into the office, some wouldn't be.
Okay, so Chair, my concern is the fact that it's got only 4 parking spaces available. If you're familiar with the area, there's an island only a few steps away from the actual application, which is not in the actual plan here. So if there was any clients that are going to be parking the vehicles, it will be either on the sides or on the same street. Dunstable Road is a very congested area as it is. So I think that will be contributing highly to already, congested area.
Okay. Any further questions? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you please confirm, are you going, because it's a 16-bed house. So can you please confirm, are you not going to give it to for other businesses or subletting the other businesses? Because it's for a single farm, it's quite a big property. It's a 16-bed property. So how are you going to ensure you are not going to sublet or misuse to open up the other businesses?
Okay.
Because my subsequent question is, we have also my colleague, she addressed about the parking issue, and I'm just referring the additional paper issued by the GMA clerk about the parking issues, and there are some photographic evidence. So how are you going to ensure there is no traffic and congestions? Thank you.
Sorry, can I take your first point about the 16-bed hostel? The purpose of this application is to change the use, so it could no longer operate as a hostel. It will be purely in a business use. With regards to the parking, I need to reiterate that the Highways Authority have assessed the site, and they considered that there are no highway or parking. There's no highway safety or parking problems with that site. We have provided a green travel plan, which the all employees would adhere to, that they would either car share, they would either cycle, or they would either take the bus or walk. There are a number of car parks within the vicinity, and they would be advised to use them. So no employees would be able to park on site.
Chris Godden, are you online? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah, he's our highways person. Yeah, but we got his report there anyway. Alia, did you want to comment? Ask a question rather than comment.
Thank you, Chair. I have a few questions, if that's okay. First of all, thank you so much for coming in and presenting your case. Now, the applicant, music to my ears, mentioned accessibility in his opening remarks. I'm interested in the details of what that accessibility entails, and what accessible features you will offer in this extension, and also how that will impact your staff and your clients as well.
Okay, can I just take those points? There'll be a level access into the property. At the moment, there's a step. I don't know whether or not you saw the photos of the site. There's at the moment there's a step. So the external alterations would involve a ramped access, so and accessibly open doors. So rather than they would be sort of either opening sort of to the side so that they'd allow people in internally, which isn't part of the planning application at the moment, but there are proposed internal alterations where there's going to be an accessible toilet directly accessible from the reception area.
Brilliant, thank you. Just to follow up on that, because it is quite a huge extension that you're taking on, that you'll have quite a lot of space there. How will your clients or your staff members who are wheelchair users, how will they be able to get up? Are you going to be offering any lifts or any accessible ramps internally?
The consultation rooms would be downstairs where there would be level access to them all. There's a DDA compliant toilet, as I've said, that would be going in as well.
Thank you. And to follow on from my colleague, Councillor Raja's question, I'm going to ask the question a little bit differently. How many people in total does your business employ?
I think it's between 28 and 30, but as my client has suggested, that not all of them are actually on site all the time. So they're either home working or in the courts or in the office.
Okay, thank you. I have two more questions and then I promise I'll leave you alone. So I note that in the application and the report that yourselves, the client or the applicant, have contacted Mary C. Cole and Signpost, now known as Squared. Well, actually, one of the things that our local plan wants to address, and even our 2040 goal in Luton 2040, is to eradicate homelessness and child poverty. Now, my concern lies with that you've only got in touch with 2 homeless charities. There's many others that operate in Luton. For example, Green Bridge Housing, there's Pathways Project, and there's Key Stage Housing. Was there a reason why you didn't make contact with those specific charities?
No, not in particular. There wasn't any filter as to who we would be speaking to. However, when we spoke to Luton Borough Council, if they weren't prepared to invest in the property, or they considered no merit in investing in the property, then to my mind, that was kind of sacrosanct. If the council weren't prepared to, if they considered that the accommodation and the structural report of the property was such that it would not meet the modern requirements for housing for homeless people, then that was good enough for us.
Okay. I know that the charities that I've mentioned are actively looking for sites, so maybe they could have been interested. But moving on from that, this is my final question. So you talked about the local community benefits that the business offers, and that's great to hear. I think more businesses should be operating in that social mobility model. But I wanted to ask what exactly this extension, what exact community benefits, if there's a list of them, what those specifically will be in terms of for the local community in the vicinity close to the building.
Free legal aid, I think that's a community benefit. Free walk-in groups that anyone can go in to on a Friday morning and access legal aid for free. I think that's a significant community benefit. I'm sure Bilal can can wax lyrical about the other benefits to the community, but I think that is a completely positive. Where I come from, you can't access anything for free. So you know, to be able to talk to a solicitor on a Friday morning, I think that's a huge benefit.
Thank you. Just to follow up from that, if that's okay. But when you say that's counteracted by the loss of residential use there?
Not to the people that have to, you know, that need to access these services. No, the application has been submitted on the basis that it's a change of use from a hostel to a business, a solicitor's office, and that's the planning balance. That's what's being applied for, and it's for members to consider whether or not it's appropriate or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
My understanding that signposts, am I correct, that they sold it or squared? They sold the property.
Yes.
The fact of reasoning behind
Sorry.
it was too expensive to refurbish. So, I mean, had it been possible for them to refurbish, then they would have still been there. Yeah. Okay, Jakob.
Yeah, mine's just a simple question. So you said you're gonna have an increase in the public that you're gonna be dealing with in terms of increased capacity means you're gonna have more members of the public using your services. So what does your client intend to do to encourage, the great number of clients you're going to have to use public transport and not to use their cars, and not to further congest the area? Because I know they're just going to move across the road, but with increased capacity comes increased demand. So what measures are you going to take to ensure that the public don't clog up the area when they're using your client services?
Well, at the point of contact, all future clients would be made aware of the parking restrictions in place and of the varied choice of sustainable modes of transport. I think it's 1.7 meters, in the committee report, is it 175 meters from the train station? It's on a sustainable bus route. It's within walking distance to Berry Park. It is ideally located.
Any further questions? Yeah, Francis.
Thank you. I think in one of your previous answers, you inferred that the parking spaces is client parking only. Is that correct?
Yes, there's 4 parking spaces on site, and they will be reserved for clients only, those clients visiting the site.
So the number of employees you have at any time is not really relevant.
They will all be directed to the green travel plan. But they work over the road. They know parking is limited in that area anyway.
Okay, any further questions? Yeah, Zanim.
Sorry, I just want to follow on from Francis's question. How do you propose to police that?
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, how do you propose to police that with the employees?
Police that?
Yeah, as in making sure the employees don't park in the client bays.
Because they'll be working at the premises and dissuaded from using them. It's part of the rules and regulations of the working practice. It's like if you work at Luton Borough Council, you can't just park in front of the building.
Okay, any further questions? Ambler.
Thank you, Chair. You mentioned on the point number 75, you have arrangement with the additional parking space to some other properties with the mosque and other place. But these are the private ones. So as far as I know, in Berry Park area, there's no public parking. And the alternative additional parking on point 75 is far below the space, because the mosque they have already overcrowded. They don't have their even own space. So how are you going to, like, I mean, are you not going, have you not checked properly whether it is the alternate space? Is it like, I mean, viable, or will it be available, or you just try to give us just sort of like, I mean, so basically you try to convince us additional parking, but these are the private one. We don't have any private parking. Then also there was a consultation going on in the red route in the Berry Park area, and this location is not too far for the, like, I mean, the proposed red route. So we had a mixed reaction from businesses and local residents. So these your businesses for additional parking will create a more congestions on the road. Also on the 78 on the report, they are mentioned residents on the neighboring road. They are objected on the page on the point 78. So I'm not sure 77 and 78. It's like contradictory. Highway says no, but already on the report it's mentioned people objected because of the parking on the current setup.
Okay, well, I think there needs to be a test of reasonableness with regards to parking. This isn't a new use that's coming into. He is just over the road. The offices currently are over the road, so therefore I can't really see how a sufficient increase over and above what's already happening over the road is going to manifest on this side of the road there's been a transport statement that's been looked at by the Highways Authority. They're satisfied that there is sufficient parking and that the location of the site is in a sustainable, it's just over the road from the existing use. So I don't see how the gentleman is already, the client is already operating from that site at full capacity. And there don't appear to be any issues with highway safety or parking issues so far. So I can't understand why there would be so many problems just by moving over the road.
Like, I mean, he tried to expand his business, means more client, more footfall, more employee. It's a 16-bed property.
Yes, but it's not going to be a 16-bed property anymore. It's going
but
to
like this is the size of the property. Definitely there will be other avenue to add any other big multiple.
No, it's purely going to be a solicitor's office at the moment. I don't know whether you've actually visited the site. They share it with some other premises, some other businesses, and they're very congested. There is no room for the moment to expand at all or to have larger offices. So the decision has been made to move over the road. It's not that they're going to expand overnight. They're already operating at full capacity on their existing site.
There's a lot of talk about parking and congestion. It's a very congested area and illegal parking all over the place. And I would think, would this contribute to the already persistent problem you've got? And I don't think so. It's still going to be crowded and overparked anyway. Any further questions to the applicant, and then we can hopefully let them go. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Right. Questions by members to the planning officer. Lee, your hand, and then I saw Alia.
Button. Thanks, Chair. It's just in relation to one of the points made by the objector in relation to the size of the 4 parking spaces. Are you able to confirm the objector's assertion that they don't actually meet the requirements in size to be considered as 4 spaces? And is there a risk that cars could actually overlap onto the public highway, be that the pavement or road?
From the information provided, they do meet the space standards. So we have to go from what we've been provided with, and no objection has been made by the Highways Authority with regard to the spaces. They're obviously existing spaces. They're not making any changes to the front, obviously, other than the ramp in the middle, but it will still accommodate 4 spaces even with that.
I think it depends on what car you drive. If you've got a Range Rover or a BMW X7, it's going to be a tight fit, but it's a parking space is a parking space, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I was referring, I think the objector actually referred to a very specific requirement of number of meters for it to be considered a space. So I just wanted to check should we say, the veracity of that claim, and whether it kind of is valid. Thank you.
Oh, Alia.
I'll forgive you for forgetting about me. Thank you. I may have missed this completely in the report, but I have read it a few times, so do let me know if I have. But are there any Section 106 requirements for this application? I only ask that because we are losing a dedicated residential area as identified in the local plan, and I know it's going to be a change of use, but Luton does have an acute need for single use accommodation for homeless people, and we are trying to reduce the number of homelessness. So surely some Section 106 provisions need to be made. Please correct me if there are some Section 106 provisions.
There aren't any associated with this application, no.
Do you want to?
Yeah,
Should have let you in a while.
it's Sunny Sahadavan, Head of Planning. Thank you for your question, Councillor. In relation to providing an answer, it comes back to adopted policies. So there's currently no adopted policies in the local plan that requires Section 106 to be triggered to provide a contribution for providing homes for the homeless for this particular development. So we as officers and the council are unable to secure that through this application.
Is that something that can be explored for the future?
Right.
Yes, as members may know and the public, the new local plan process has started, and of course suggestions like this will always be considered.
Okay, any further questions to the planning officer? Any comments? Jakob.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Having lived in that area, I can tell you the previous residents of that hostel were causing a lot of social problems, primarily in the Holy Ghost car park, where there was reports of drug taking, there was, antisocial behaviour, petty crime. So the residents, including my family that live around there, are, will probably be pleased in a way that those kind of residents, with no disrespect to the kind of people that were living there. So, and also, I'm satisfied with the reports. I know we've gone kind of going around the houses with the question about the parking, but they're just moving across the road. So, I will be supporting this application because it's a sound plan. They've assured us that they're gonna, they're gonna tell their staff to park elsewhere. And I don't know why some members have brought up the red route, because it's got nothing to do with it. And I think we should just stick our questions and comments with what's in front of us and not trying to sidetrack it to something else. So on that basis, I will be supporting this application.
Any other comments?
Yeah, just before members vote, I think we probably noticed slight error with the report. The applicants have submitted a green travel plan, but I don't think we captured it as a condition. So we can include that condition on any approval, should members decide that to be the decision.
Yeah, Alia?
I think we've seen this happen in the town centre as well over the years. I know Councillor David Franks has made remarks in previous meetings about this, but we're losing a lot of residential homes. We've seen it in the town centre, and although potentially right now there is no space or potential to refurbish the property. I do think that the local plan was made for a reason, and the local plan identified this initially as a residential space for accommodation, temporary accommodation be it. So I'm not comfortable to approve that change of use, because to me, as a local councillor, every single day I'm having to deal with casework with his acute homelessness issues. So I am, on the basis of that, I don't think I can support this application.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note that it was signposts that sold this, and also a consultation with Mary Seacole and Luton Borough Council, who said it needed too much money to refurbish.
Can I come back? If that's
Yeah.
Okay. It's also concerning that only two partners or three partners were considered when there's a number of others that would have been interested in acquiring this.
Yeah, it's only assumption. We don't know what the spend would have been required to refurbish the place. Okay, no more questions or comments, then we'll go to the vote, please.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry? Oh, I'll recommend approval. That's second.
Thank you, Chair. Right. This is item 7. If I read the names out, councillors. Sorry, beg your pardon. Item 9. Thanks, Stephen. Sorry. Dunstable Road. So, Councillor Abisola.
For.
Councillor Ambia.
Against.
Councillor Bridgen.
Against.
Councillor Farouk.
For.
Councillor Franks. Councillor Hanif, sorry.
For.
Councillor Ali Khan. Yeah.
Against.
Good. Councillor Mead.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Raja.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Steer.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Thank you.
7 for and 4 against. So the recommendation is to approve as such with the conditions. Okay. A planning permission has been granted. Thank you. We want to the next one now. Agenda, and I think it's the middle one. John Street. Eight. Yeah, we'll do it the other way around.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, item number 8. This is land between 37 and 53 John Street in Luton. In terms of an update, members will have seen the update report circulated yesterday. There is still an outstanding objection from the Leeds Local Flood Authority, which the applicant has committed to resolving. As such, it is proposed that the recommendation is altered slightly to read that if planning permission is granted, this is subject to the conditions as identified within the report and subject to the resolution of the objection raised by the Leeds Local Flood Authority and the addition of any such conditions as may be required. Additionally, the Environmental Protection Officer has requested noise conditions, which are included in the update sheet, and a couple of minor revisions are proposed to conditions 17 and 25. Finally, and just to confirm that a lift is proposed within the development. The application site is vacant. Currently, it is bound by commercial and residential development on 3 sides, with a River Lee to the north. The River Lee is in an open channel at this point, albeit that there is a significant difference in levels. The application site is located within Luton Town Centre, outside the town centre shopping area, but within the Creative Quarter and the Plattersley, the Hat District Conservation Area. Just in terms of the planning history, this is not the first application for residential development on the site. Indeed, planning permission was granted for a 7-storey block of 58 flats in 2003. It was in lieu of this permission that the warehouse office building, which previously occupied the site, was given consent to be demolished in 2004. A further application for 39 flats was granted plan permission in 2015. However, this plan permission has also now lapsed. The application seeks plan permission for the erection of 24 flats comprising of 3 one-bed, 17 two-bed and 4 four-bed units. The proposed development would be 5 stories in height. To move on to the next. Yeah, that's fine. The Environment Agency requires vehicular access to the River Lee at the rear of the site for monitoring and maintenance purposes, and accordingly a 6-metre site access is therefore proposed in the form of an undercroft. The undercroft will also form a pedestrian access for residents to the private amenity space to the rear of the site. And the undercroft will also house the bin store and cycle stores. The development is car free with 26 cycle spaces provided. Just go on to the next one. All flats will meet the nationally described space standards and have access to private outdoor amenity space in the form of a terrace on the ground floor and balconies and terrace spaces at higher levels. A shared amenity space in excess of 240 metres squared is provided to the rear of the building. There have been no comments received from the general public on this scheme. The application site is not an allocated housing site within the local plan, but it is within the creative quarter where policy LLP 11 applies, and this does allow for residential development. As a residential proposal, another key policy consideration is policy LLP 15, which relates to housing provision. It is considered that the proposal will comply with policy LLP 15 as it would not result in a loss of a use for which there is a recognised local need. It would not result in overdevelopment of the site, and the housing mix is considered to meet housing need in Luton, with 88% of the flats being 2-bed or larger. Just go to the animations, yeah. The proposed development is of a good design, which will enhance the character and appearance of the conservation area. Indeed, the council's conservation advisor did conclude that the redevelopment of this vacant plot within the Plattersley, the Hat District Conservation Area is welcomed and will preserve the significance of the conservation area. Currently, the application site comprises of an area of vacant land with a long frontage to John Street. The site currently detracts from the character and appearance of the area. Given this, it is not considered that the proposal would result in any harm to the conservation area and would be a positive intervention. The proposed development will not be to the detriment of the amenity of neighbouring occupiers, and 0 car parking provision is considered acceptable in this sustainable location. The applicant will make the sustainable transport contribution of £8,400, but the viability appraisal submitted concludes that it is not viable to provide any affordable housing or other developer contributions, and the independent assessor that the council uses agrees with these findings. The development is acceptable in terms of biodiversity net gain legislation. In relation to flood risk, the Environment Agency have no objections, and that's in relation to river flooding. The lead local flood authorities still have concerns regarding the development, and this is from surface water flood risk, but it is considered that these matters can be resolved. Subsequently, as mentioned, the recommendation has been amended as per the update sheet. As members are aware, the local planning authority currently has to apply the tilted balance when considering residential applications. This means that the harm associated with the development the proposal must significantly and demonstrably outweigh any planning benefits. In this case, the delivery of 24 new homes and regeneration of this vacant plot is considered a significant planning benefit of the scheme, which outweighs any identified harm. Accordingly, it is recommended that the application is approved, subject to conditions as identified within the report and subject to the resolution of the objection raised by the local flood authority and the addition of such conditions as may be required. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any questions? Arthur Francis? Jacob.
Sorry, can you just go back to figure 7, the plan, please? Yeah, so the green space behind between the river and the development, is that amenity space for the occupants of the properties? It's private for them.
Yeah, that's right. It's shared amenity space for the occupiers, yeah.
Yeah, okay, do Jacob.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Forgive my ignorance, in as much as we can, has the applicant made it clear that they're going to actually build this time? Because as it says in the report, permission has been granted in the past, it's lapsed. And that area really could do with something built there, because I'm familiar with that area because I was used to work in the town centre when there was something there before, and it's left a large void.
Yeah, I mean, we can never sort of positively require someone to build something that we grant plan permission for. But we certainly would like to see it developed out as with members. I mean, we would hope that they've invested quite a significant amount in bringing the planning application before members, that they would be committed to providing that. As I say, it would be a good use of this vacant site, which does at the moment detract from the conservation area.
Lee.
Thanks, Chair. My question is in relation to the risk of flood. I understand obviously that the outstanding objection will be covered by a condition. In order to understand, I guess, the benefit risk ratio, I'd like to understand how high the risk of flood is, whether there's, what level of risk there is to, health, people's welfare, as well as risk to property. And further, would the council's planning authority, having potentially approved that, would there be any liability for loss on the council as a result?
Okay, yeah, thanks for your question. Yeah, two issues in this. You've got fluvial flood risk, which is flood risk from the river itself. The application site is actually in flood zone 1, which is the lowest risk of flooding, because there's a very significant difference between the level of the site and the level of the River Lee, which is, yeah, in quite a deep channel. It's open, but in a deep channel. So the flood risk from the river is very low. It's the surface water flood risk. It's a very important issue. It's one that we take, very seriously. The applicant and the application needs to demonstrate that it's not going to result in flood risk to the occupiers of the property, but also that it doesn't affect other neighbouring properties. And that's the key. So we will only be in a position to approve it when they can demonstrate that to our satisfaction. And hopefully we'll get to a point where we can get that objection removed and conditions attached to provide a suitable surface water drainage scheme.
Thank you. I note on the report that there's no units available for affordable housing. Is there a particular reason? Have any viability assessments been carried out?
I think it's just the challenge that we often hear, unfortunately, with the current market conditions, high build and labour costs and sort of low values. So, I mean, it's not a surprise to see another viability assessment accompany the application. Members will be aware that we've had a number recently. I mean, all we can do, if members are minded to approve, is include the review mechanism as part of the 106. So if it is built out at a suitable point in the future, once costs are established, we do get a second bite of the cherry, where we can look to see, analyse the costs and see if there is any uplift, which we can then capture.
Thank you. I think it's nice to see that residential units are being built, but can we put that condition in as open for review future? Can we put that in as a committee? Okay, Chair?
I think so, yeah.
Through you, Chair, yeah, it's already included as part of the recommendation to include a viability review mechanism, but it's a very important tool that we can use to try and capture any uplift in the future.
Yeah, it's a problem we've got in the whole of the town is viability. That's why we've got so many vacant sites. Yeah. David, you were next. David Franks.
Yeah, thanks very much. My two concerns really relate to the conditions. I'm looking at the artist's impression of the front of the building. These are always very flattering, of course, how designed to be. There aren't very many what I'd call really attractive buildings in John Street. The attractiveness or otherwise of this one will very largely be influenced by the shutter or gate or whatever that goes over that the archway entrance. I'm simply suggesting it would be helpful to have an additional condition saying the design of that should be approved. And I'd be happy, of course, to leave that decision to the planning people, but I think that some care should be taken over the design of that. The other condition that has been brought to me is there is a condition requiring the provision of a refuse facility. I think, again, it would be helpful if that condition was expanded to include a management plan for that facility.
Through you, Chair, yeah, I think we can incorporate those conditions. That's not a problem.
Oh.
Thanks, Chair. Are there any lifts in this building?
Yes, through you, Chair. Yes, it does include a lift for residents.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Councillor Ambler.
Thank you, Chair. Can you please confirm, is it the same owner who had a permission before 2015? And also, I welcome the proposal. It's a, it's a 4-bedroom like for development, but it's mentioned about no cars, no parking space. So in the bigger family with the parking, without parking space, I'm just worried about realistic, will it create any other issues in the car park? Because if it is 1 bed, 2 beds with the working people, but it's a family home 4 bed, how are you going to justify without parking space? Thank you.
There's a massive multi-storey car park opposite. And if they want to buy a season ticket, then they're quite well to do so. But it's a sustainable location. But you couldn't get a more sustainable location than this. So as regards parking, what more could you ask for as a multi-storey car park outside your window? Anyway, Kai.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to answer the first point, I'm afraid the early applications predate my time here, so I'm not sure who the applicant was. But in this case, it's Wardown Properties Limited. I'd be surprised, given the length of time, if they were the applicant previously, but I'm not aware, so it predates me. I'm afraid.
Any other questions from members? Go to comments now. Any comments, Jakob?
Yeah. Once again, I welcome this development because there's a void there. It needs to be filled. We have ambitions to develop the town centre. I'm encouraged by the fact that there are 4 4-bedroom properties and 2 bedrooms. So it, in some ways, family friendly. And I echo your comments. There's a very large car park in the front. And there, and I suppose anybody buying a property in a town centre in this day and age will be well aware of the fact that they won't have access to parking. And you're spot on. If you walk for a few, not even a minute walk, there's all the bus stops that will take you off. Yeah. And then right opposite, you've got an international train station. So it's an ideal with that. You've got the Pocket Park nearby. So I think it's an ideal location. But one would hope once, if members do give permission, that this gets built. And I also echo Councillor Franks' comments about the bins, that we should insist, if a condition needs to be added, that the bins are kept at the back of the property. We've already had issues on Park Street where bins have been left out at the front and they've been either raided or knocked or fly tipping. So there needs to be a robust enforcement of the bins. And I would like to see that either mentioned either explicitly as a condition somewhere in there that the bins, communal bins, I'm sure, will be at the back and away from the footpath. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Okay. Any further comments? There being no further comments, we'll go to the vote, and I move approval with the conditions attached.
She's attached the ones that we.
Yeah, plus the additional conditions, yeah. That's seconded.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. This is item 8, John Street. Thank you. I'll call your name if you could answer, please. Councillor Ajisola.
For.
Yeah, Councillor Ambia.
For.
Councillor Bridgen.
For.
Councillor Farouk.
For.
Councillor Franks.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hanif.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ali Khan.
For.
Councillor Mead.
For.
Councillor Raja. For. Councillor Steer.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Thank you.
That sounds unanimous. Planning permission is granted subject to the conditions and the additional conditions that were mentioned tonight. So we'll go on to the last one. Good evening, that's page 9, Sovereign Park, Laporte Way. Nali, you've waited a long time. Sorry about that.
No worries. Good evening, Chair and members. This application relates to Unit 2, Sovereign Park, Laporte Way. There's no written or verbal update on this application. The application site is one of the 3 purpose-built industrial units located within Sovereign Park, a designated Category A employment area located off Laporte Way. The area immediately surrounding the site is industrial and commercial, as it's surrounded on 3 sides by commercial buildings. However, immediately to the north, beyond the line of mature trees, lies the rear gardens of the properties in Connaught Road, which are over 50 metres away. The current application is seeking approval for the change of use of Unit 2 from a mixture of Class E G3 light industrials and Class B8 storage to industrial installation manufacturing Class B2 use. No external changes are proposed as part of this scheme. In terms of the principle of the development, as set out in paragraphs 16 to 19 of the committee report, the principle of the proposed change of use is considered acceptable as Class B8 use would be compliant with the policy requirements of policies LP 13 and LP 14. The site is within a designated Category A employment site. It would also help create 12 to 14 new jobs for locals bring back into use a vacant site. The current proposal is seeking no external changes or to the building, therefore no design or street scene implications arise from the development. With respect to the impact on the character of the area, the site is located within a designated Category A employment site area and is surrounded by industrial and commercial uses. Therefore, the proposal would not be unsympathetic form of development within the context of the immediately surrounding development. The main planning consideration with regard to the current scheme is the impact of the development on the amenities of the residential properties in Connaught Road. 4 local residents have objected to the scheme, raising concerns over potential impact from the proposed change of use in terms of additional noise, disturbance, smells and odours. From the planning history of the site, it is noted that in approving the original planning application for Sovereign Park in the 1990s, the local planning authority restricted the use of units 1 to 3 to former Class B1 offices in order to protect the amenity of the residential properties in Connaught Road. However, in 2022, planning permission was granted to change the use of these 3 units from former Class B1 offices to a mixture of light industrial and Class B8 warehousing use. This approval was subject to a detailed noise assessment being submitted and conditions requiring compliance with the noise assessment and limiting the use of mobile plants and equipment. The current scheme, rather than proposing an open Class B 2 use is seeking an explicit type of Class B2 use with a specific end occupier whose operations can be fully assessed in respect of potential impacts on the amenities of the adjoining residential properties in terms of noise and disturbance. The site is to be occupied a company that specializes in the manufacturing of insulation that has application in the electrical vehicle energy industries. The indicative proposed internal layout shows the position of all the machinery associated with the proposed use and areas of storage and staff spaces. The operations will be undertaken across 3 shifts, with shift 1 being the day shift operating between the hours of 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., with all machinery being operational. Shift 2 would be the afternoon shift and would operate between 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. with only lasers and certain specific machinery being operational. Shift 3, which would be the night shift and would operate between the hours of 10 to 6 a.m., would only have the lasers operating. The proposed use would therefore operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The planning and design statement also provides an explanation of the 3 processes that would be undertaken and the machinery that would be used in each process. According to this, the process that potentially would generate noise and disturbance would be carried out mainly during shifts 1 and 2 to limit any disturbance to the adjoining residents. None of the proposed operations are anticipated to generate any dust, fume, smoke, or odor. All operations will take place within the building. No goods or materials will be stored outside, and staff will work shifts 1 to 3 on a rota basis. The proposed operations will generate approximately 2 inbound and 1 outbound delivery per week. In addition to the detailed information about the equipment and the processes, the applicant has also submitted a revised noise impact assessment. This report includes background noise survey of the site and provides an assessment of potential noise impacts associated with the proposed use, informed by the future occupiers' existing operations and the sound reduction performance of Unit 2. The report concludes that the total predicted noise levels for the individual activities and the total predicted noise levels due to all assessed activities occurring together correlated with a low noise impact in accordance with the relevant noise guidance. The revised noise impact assessment also specifies measures that will be put in place to ensure that the proposal does not adversely impact nearby sensitive receptors. The Council's Environmental Protection Officer has been consulted on the revised noise assessment and has raised no objections. To minimise any future impact, the applicants have also agreed to conditions requiring operation management plan, limiting the use to that specified within the current scheme, requiring compliance with noise assessment and limiting use of any tonal beepers between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. like the previous 22 approval. Considering the foregoing, the proposed development subject to the conditions outlined will not have a harmful effect on the amenities of the adjoining residential occupiers in Connaught Road, and would be in accordance with the objectives of policy LLP 1 and LLP 25 of the local plan. In terms of transport and parking implications, the current proposal will not result in any increase in floor space or the intensification of use of the site. It would also have a limited number of deliveries per week. Safe and suitable vehicular access to units 1 to 3 is provided from Laporte Way, which is an established access, and this would remain unchanged in the proposed development. The development also not affect the existing car parking and loading areas that are available within Sovereign Park site. The Highway Authority have raised no concerns. Other matters. In relation to other matters as set out in paragraph 39 to 41, the proposal raises no major ecological or flooding implications. The current scheme would also not be subject to B&G requirements as it falls within the de minimis exemption. To conclude, based on the foregoing and the committee report, the proposed change of use would in principle be acceptable and have no harmful effect on the character and appearance of the surrounding area or the amenities of the adjoining occupiers, or raises any major implications. On that basis, a conditional approval is recommended. Thank you, Chair.
Questions? There was the 2 ladies here earlier on, and they hadn't registered to speak, but their questions were, what are they manufacturing? And will there be an extractor system? They're actually back on, they live in Connaught Road and back onto it.
the manufacture of industrial stuff and raising the vehicle, electrical vehicle thing. As part of it in the report said it doesn't raise any kind of smoke, odor or anything
Yeah.
like that.
I think that's what they were concerned about. Could they open their windows in the summer? They couldn't when the original port site was there. Yeah. Clive, did you have a question? Any questions? Clive?
What are the parking arrangements? Can I? Yeah. Because you've got overlapping shifts or shifts butting up to each other, you're going to need twice the parking for the number of people working there, because the one shift will arrive before the other shift has gone home, as it were. So you're going to need adequate parking without an overspill into the immediate area, as I see it.
I remember I was working at Vauxhall on shifts, and it was a hell of a job to find a parking space because the early shift was still working.
Yeah.
But I don't see, I mean, there must be loads of car parking spaces around here. Yeah, I don't see it's a problem, you know, and then maybe a handful of people just working there. Unless you've got other.
No, there is a very large parking space at the front, so.
It's a problem. Yeah, the residents were just concerned about fumes and noise. Any other questions? Any comments? As the recommendation is for approval, I move approval. Seconded.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just call out your names, please. Councillor Ajisola.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ambia.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Bridgen.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Farouk.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Franks.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hanif.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ali Khan. For. Thank you. Councillor Mead.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Raja. For. Thank you. Councillor Steer.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Thank you.
Any other votes?